Hello, welcome to our channel. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for coming as we adjust our camera to ensure that the terrorists aren't blocking our video like they do so many times and have in the past. We'll see if we stop getting censored or if the censorship continues based on the hits. You'll see. Anyway, there's an economic collapse going on right now. It's been going on since the 50s, ever since I was a child. Putin has rejected peace, and the military begins prosecuting civilians. This may be one of the most monumental stories you've ever heard because we are switching very quickly to a military regime. And the American flag has a gold fringe around it under United States Code 4. That means the flag of no nation. We have two fobs hanging down, which means English maritime law. So the judges all feel they have Magna Carta protection. Well, the Magna Carta protects barons. It protects counts, and it protects dukes, and it protects kings. It does not protect judges or esquires. Very clear in the Magna Carta, but they've extended that protection thinking they have judicial immunity. They have no immunity under United States Code 18. And the American flag not only has the gold fringe and the two fobs, it has an eagle on top. Yeah, look familiar? Hegseth? There'll be no peace as long as you disobey God, Hegseth. That eagle on top of the American flag, put in 1871 when the United States incorporated, is a martial law eagle. Since I was 0 years old, the United States has been at war. That's why when President Trump interviewed the Supreme Court justices, he asked them specifically, are we in a time of war? And they all said yes. Now, granted, the Supreme Court and Congress has been disbanded. Hasn't been in D.C. for 5 years or more. You can go to Sugarbee, 33333, Nancy Drew, and she'll show you that. Anyway, a note about gold. The gold has been suppressed again by the English, Sieg Heil, and the banks, central banks like Chinese central banks, Japanese central banks, American central banks, are buying up gold like crazy, and the United States will not release the gold back to Europe. It held it during WW2, and it's still keeping it. Possession is 9/10 of the law. The United States stole the gold fairly and squarely, just like the Securities and Exchange Commission stole my money fairly and squarely. That's right, the director of the Securities and Exchange Commission, living underground in his cave, is guilty of an act of war by stealing an active ambassador's savings. But nobody in the Trump administration cares. Nobody cares about acts of war anymore. It's like this is the most uncaring. I've never seen anything like it. Since Bush left office, we've had nothing but a bunch of putzes. Anyway, and that's the first Bush. So anyway, on to the news. By the way, my relationship, and I go to Noble Gold to get my gold, 877-646-5347. I pick up the phone, call Hope or Josh. I get a real person in America. I don't have to call somebody, leaving something with an answering service. I just call them till they pick up, and I buy my gold. It's delivered in a plain package, and I have to sign for it. Then I take it off-site. Okay, on to the news. This may be why, and my relationship with all my advertisers is I buy from them. Sometimes they give me something like a free bottle of Jim Nema, or maybe a special gold coin or something, or a little gold coin, or maybe a special silver coin. But that's it. Anyway, this may be why we're about to implement martial law. Since we're already under martial law, who cares? He's just implementing it. John Bolton's home was raided. Why? Releasing top secret information. No arrests were made. James Comey, whose daddy ran the Gestapo in World War II, Sieg Heil, and killed 6 million people. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. James Comey released classified information in his book. No arrests were made. An Obama judge orders Alligator Prison to be closed and shut down and torn down, and under United States Code 18, that is supporting those who have illegal citizenship papers. That's a violation of the United States Code 18, punishable by 20 years imprisonment to death. When this Obama judge ruled that, no arrests were made. And a Biden-appointed judge orders the release of teens that beat up Doge employee big balls. It's a violation of the United States Code 18. No arrest for me. And Adam Schiff, who committed fraud in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2013, 12, 14. He's committed at least 6 cases of mortgage fraud. So did that judge. Neither of them were arrested. If you and I committed mortgage fraud, the cops would be at our front door. Of course, if they touched me, they'd be killed because I'm an ambassador. But if if you committed mortgage fraud and they found out, boy, you'd be in big trouble, wouldn't you? No trouble for these guys. Adam Smith just pulls out a couple, $10, $20 million and blocks everything. Same with the judge. There are 2 sets of law. Gavin Newsom threatens to beat up Trump and kill him. No arrests were made. I'll take you on, Gavin Newsom, you clone. One little hit in the jaw and clones tend to fall over. Come on, Gavin Newsom, you little wimp. Just like the governor of Minnesota, little big mouth fat wimp. Why is Gavin Newsom not under arrest? That's not the original Gavin Newsom that was elected. Why is he not under arrest? Because Trump makes no arrests. He just lets the stuff fall apart. Let him make the ruling, no arrests. Everything hunky-dory, una matata, no arrests. Unbelievable. Anyway, Hegseth, the no-peace Hegseth, because he's disobeying God, telling God to stuff it up his proverbial wahoo. Jesus is an idiot, and he's going to ignore God and the angels because he is and he is going to make war. Since Hegseth took office, we've had a major revolt explode in Burma, Serbia, Romania, and Ethiopia. As long as Hegseth disobeys God, we will have more wars and more wars. Good job, Hegseth. Just keep pissing God off and killing millions of people. And the U.S. just gave Israel, you, the taxpayer, the American public, every single taxpayer, just gave Israel $350. That's right. You're a taxpayer. You have a job. You just gave Israel $350. Why? For weapons. We just gave them enough money for 3.5 million M16s and ammunition. Did we buy them M16s? No, we probably bought them 2 Patriot missile batteries. Why? Because it's commish, man. 3.5 billion. What's 15% of 3.5 billion? Roughly $500 million gets passed around D.C. as commission. Money talks, BS walks. And can you believe that Putin, well, when I was a child, half of all adults 25 to 34, actually half of adults 22 years old and to 35 had a home. They had a job, a permanent job. They had kids. So permanent job, kids, they were married, they had a home. That was more than half of America. The rest of them aspired to do that. So by the time they were 40 or 45, almost all Americans had a home, they were married, and had kids. America was growing. Bread was 10 cents or 11 cents a loaf. Sometimes it was 11 loaves for $1. The average Social Security recipient could buy 870 loaves of bread, maybe 900 when they were on sale. Today, 10% of Americans at age 25 to 35 have a permanent job, children, married, and a home. 10% as opposed to half. Since 1960, we have been destroyed by the United Nations, the Lucifer Trust, which talks about the destruction of America, and by our own government, which has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where everything is collapsing. We've reached a point where 30 million square feet of retail space will close this year. Amazon sales are down. Walmart sales are up. But if you increase prices by 20% and sales go up 5%, that means your sales are down 15%. Let me say that again. If prices go up 20% and your sales go up 5%, That means by volume, you're down 15%. So Walmart volume is down. Amazon volume is down. Prices are skyrocketing. So they say, sales are up. Yeah, because your prices went up 20% along with everybody else's. And now the commissary is hurting so bad, they're talking about adding civilians to the commissary because the commissary has raised their prices almost by 50% in the last 5 years. 50%. That's 50%. Because they got to support affirmative action. And Hegseth, Mr. Warmonger, Mr. Kill and Murder, tell God to kiss my butt, Hegseth, Mr. Murderer, won't reverse that. He's walking around with J.D. Vance, Mr. Cool, Mr. Cool, Mr. Cool, as he's killing people around the world and destroying the commissary. That's what Hegseth is doing. I got a letter. They gave me a $25 certificate to spend it at a commissary. I haven't been to the commissary in, probably 4 years because I don't need to go because Walmart's cheaper. Well, I don't go to Walmart. Fred Meyer's cheaper. Met Market's cheaper. Why go to the commissary? Why do I want to go through the harassment of being 67 with an ID card that's permanent disability? They won't retire me because Hegseth worships Lucifer and he can't do anything for God. If I could meet him face to face, Hegseth, we'd have a nice engineering talk, you little punk-ass demon. Let's call it the way it is. You're a demon. So it's no sense going. They're considering allowing civilians to go to the commissary. Talk about security breach. Let's just keep jacking those prices up so we can hire more affirmative action employees. This guy is a walking, talking demon. Here, hell-bent on destruction of this planet. And finally, in order to counter all this, President Trump is bringing in 20 JAG officers, naval JAG officers. The Constitution clearly says the Navy, the U.S. Navy, is to promote international commerce. The Army is not to be called up unless it's a time of war. Well, we've had a time of war since I was a child. The Navy controls the Army and the Army National Guard. So JAG is being brought into Washington, D.C. to prosecute civilian crimes. Think about that. The military is now prosecuting civilian crimes. But not in the United States, but in Washington, D.C. Remember the 3 stars on the flag of Washington, D.C.? Rome, London, and Washington, D.C. It's not part of the United States of America. Washington, D.C. is its own separate government. So the corporate JAG officers have been brought in to prosecute corporate criminals of Washington, D.C. But most Americans think the Navy's prosecuting civilians. Nothing could be further from the truth. But they're going to broadcast on TV lies so you get brainwashed to think that it's okay for the military to prosecute civilians. We just hit the wall. Those 2 fobs mean the English Maritime Court. The eagle on top means English maritime law, Lucifer's law. And the gold fringe around the flag means the flag of no nation. And the English maritime law under martial law is supposed to administer Bouvier law. But right now they just administer satanic law because many of them are human sacrificing satanic priests. I'm laying it on the line for you. And we're going to let you go because it's something to think about where naval officers start prosecuting civilians. God bless. Maybe Trump can fix this mess. I don't know. Maybe he can't. But to have military officers start prosecuting civilians, think about it for a minute. God bless. Why haven't they arrested all those who said they're going to kill Trump? Violated United States Code 18. Maybe he's getting ready to, only maybe he's going to do it in a military court. We're going to find out. God bless. Thank you very much. We'll see you maybe Monday, maybe not. We'll see.